Hello, this is the 185th day of 366 days of motivation, and I want to expound on what I talked about today. Give you a really good example. So, my wife and I, this home that we live in now, we've been here for this is year 11, and before, before I got married, I had two roommates. One of the roommates is actually a realtor. All right. And while we were, I believe he probably became a realtor like right around the time when we were roommates, or at least working towards that. He had several business ventures that he was delving into. And so real estate was one. So from starting, his real estate journey and then working for a couple of companies, then he ventured out on his own and started the Favor Group. Talking about my friend's name is Timothy Brown. And so he starts a Favor Group, but before he even starts a Favor Group, he's a realtor, and that's my friend. So I would have felt weird from going to any other real estate agency knowing that my friend, who I was roommates with, who I trust, who I know knows me, knows my wife, he knows my family, knows my wife's family. It just makes sense. You understand what I'm saying? So he didn't have to prove to me that he would do right by me when it came to real estate because I knew him as a person. All right. My friend happens to be an African American man. We were roommates. So it's not I didn't seek him out because he was an African American real estate agency. He just happened to be my friend. Right. We found a home. He found a home. He was sold to several places. He never pushed anything. He said, "What do you want?" And my job is to get you what you want. So we're in our house. We're here 11 years later, completely happy. So we know that when we go to find another home, it makes sense. Like we're going to go to the same person. I had a lending agency I was talking to about refinancing, and they were talking and saying, "Well, we're going to get you in a perfect position. We got to do this. We got to do this." And they pushed me over to some other person. I said, "Hold up." I said, "I didn't know we were doing all this." I said, "I have got a real estate agency that I work with. I got an agent who's my friend, who if I'm going to do anything pertaining to real estate, I'm going to go through him." Right? All right. So let's switch gears here. Let me show you two scenarios. I'm making a point here. Years ago, I'd say maybe 7, 8 years ago, I was looking for a chiropractor. I really wanted to do chiropractic care versus going through physical therapy, anything like that. I just thought that I was having some neck issues and I wanted to see a chiropractor. So my wife had been going already before we got married and knew of a person who the person was, they told her, you know, that, hey, go to this individual. And so she advised me. She said, hey, go to this individual. And so I went based on someone else telling her this is a good one to go. They never asked, never said, hey, if you're looking for a good African American chiropractor, why don't you go to this one? It was word of mouth, you know? It was people saying, hey, I'm going to go try this person out. Once they tried them out, they were good. We went off of someone else's word with them being good. That person did not give her the name because the chiropractor was white. They just said, hey, the person's nice, right? I believe it's Health First Chiropractic Care. See, they moved to South Parkway in Huntsville. I get there, and the guy happens to be a Christian man, he and his wife. Lovely people. I mean, the way they make me feel, as far as they make you feel like you're part of the family, like they've got that down pat. If it were not true, I'd say they should get Oscars for their acting. However, I said all that to say, the black real estate agent that I have is my friend. I went to him because I know him as a person. I rock with him. The white chiropractor I have, I consider to be a friend now. It was word of mouth how I got there. They don't do a lot of advertising. It's word of mouth. I get there. I'm faithful to them. I'm not going to go to another chiropractor. My dentist My dentist is Puerto Rican at Smiles by Design. I went there. I want to say my wife probably found him first. She didn't look up who the woman was, her nationality. She just wanted a good dentist. And it was because that was important to us. You know, do they take our insurance, so on and so forth. When we got there, it's the way they treat you. It is developing a relationship that years from now, they'll know me when I walk in, they call me by my name. You know, it's like Cheers. Sometimes you want to go, but everybody knows your name. That's how I am. I mean, that's where I am in my age. So that's why today when I said we have to be careful when we decide to take a side, like for example, people say, and I know this will not be a I won't, I'm going out on a limb here. I'm usually the one that doesn't like to stir stuff up, but I don't, I'll just say what I want. Um, I understand people saying they want to support black owned businesses. That's cool. You know, that's fair. I want to support them too. We had a situation here where a person, there was a guy who owned a ice cream parlor. I think it was actually it was a franchise. And he said some racist things back in 2015. I think it was on the internet, on Facebook or somewhere. During this political climate, this climate and this racial tension in the air, somehow it resurfaced. When it resurfaced, people stopped going. Not only did they stop going, there was a local ice cream parlor here that was run by a group of African American people, and people started lining up out there. And I mean, they, it's great. Like the place is great. Like we went over there to support them. And a part of the reason I went to support is because I started thinking, man, these are young people who have a chance to take something that was terrible going on in the world and make people smile with their ice cream. And unfortunately for the gentleman who said those things years ago, it resurfaced. And hey, you know, as a result, I think their corporate company was like, no, close that down. We're looking for new management. Like they got rid of him. They didn't even want him to run the shop anymore. I mean, it was a franchise that he probably purchased, and they probably said, we don't want you to hold it anymore. I said that to say it is okay that you want to support black-owned businesses, right? But what I'm saying from my stance is I have friends who have businesses. You know, I know one in particular who has pest control. I didn't go out looking for a black-owned pest control company. I looked for pest control. As a matter of fact, his son and daughter are former students of mine. That was the sole reason that I wanted to do pest control with them, because I know their kids. I have another student who is going to do some things in college who wanted my support. White female, I didn't decide I'm going to go out and find any black kid I can find who's looking to do something in ministry and I'm going to support them. I try to be led by God. This is what I'm saying. We have to be careful that when you go out and decide that you're going to isolate or pour all of your energy or your monies into a specific group, and that then in turn says to the other group, hey, since all of y'all are clearly bad, I'm gonna make sure that only my people come up. That's I'm not with that. I'm not with that. Not for me. Like, so I know I'm not gonna sway everybody else, but I'm saying to you that the problem becomes that the further you get towards one side, how are you still able to hear God leading you? Because would he lead you down that path? Would he lead you down a path to take, because the assumption is always that if a white person has a business, that person has money to blow and that they don't need the business more than someone black who's got a business too. Everybody needs their chips. Everybody needs their chips. I'm not ignoring the fact that there was slavery in America and that it is still nearly impossible to find equality every single day. I'm telling you that I've experienced inequality Every week of my life for sure. I don't know about every day, but every week for sure, I have experienced what W.E.B. Du Bois talks about, double consciousness, the idea that you can't be 100% yourself around people, that you've got to take a very humble, low voice, lower your stature so people are not afraid of you. If you've never seen someone clench their purse and know for a fact they're clenching their purse because of you, if you've never been in a elevator and seen someone look like a terror when you walked on, if you've never heard doors lock when you walk past cars, and even though you were dressed up, if you don't know what that feels like, then I'm telling you, it is real. It can play with your mind. It can. But on the other hand, I have some friends in my life that that are not black, who I trust. I would trust my family with them because they love humanity. They are not trapped in color. They love human beings. You can tell it. It's their. They are more troubled by the times, by what's going on in the times, more than some blacks that I know. They're not. Just not. They're not as appalled as what you think they should be. But these people, I'm telling you, white family, their whole life has been spent helping humans. You know, how did we get that? What I want people to question is, how did we get to a point where there was a such thing as civil rights? When did civil rights stop being, when did human rights and civil rights stop being the same thing? That's what I'm talking about. Why did there have to be a division there? Because if you look at it, the word civil also at some point almost became synonymous, civil rights became synonymous with Democratic Party. It's like there was the divide put there. So now you got people who are deciding, you know what, I'm not really against civil rights, but if you're making me choose between Democrat and Republican, then they'll start putting religious stuff in it. Well, I believe in pro-life, and I believe in, God first, God and country. Those are loaded statements, because if you erase all of that stuff, just erase all of that, and then say, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Think about it. You feel like Jesus would say, I hear you guys saying Black Lives Matter, but what I'm going to say is all lives matters. Do you see that? Do you see that in Christ's life, that when there's, I saw this post, like people are pretty much living by memes anyway. I saw this post where it says that he left the 99 to go get the one that is hurting and is out. He left that group of 99 to go find one. There's a lost group, not lost because we wanted to be lost because we were brought to this country in chains and taken, having our whole existence warped and reframed. What we're looking at, we think it's as easy as it's the fact that their dad's not in the home, and then you put the dad in there, and the dad, come on, it's not that simple. But at the end of the day, if these times don't cause you, a person, to feel empathy but apathy, it's because you're leaning too far away from the ways of Christ, and you're leaning towards your party, and you're trying to make your party about God. And I'm sorry, the government is not here to be God or to take his place. The government is here so that there can be order. It's not here to be God or to take God's place. The government is never going to take his place. The government is never going to be God. That's okay. I know some of y'all want it to be. That's why you hip hooray over politics so much. That's why you can't stand. You want to automatically say that if a person is Democrat, that they are antichrist, or that they got warped Christianity. Why? Because they have feelings. Because you tend to see more empathy with liberals. That's what you tend to see. You tend to hear more empathy when liberals speak. And then on the conservative side, you tend to see people that are, I'm just telling you what I see. On the conservative side, you tend to see a whole bunch of religion played out with word. It's like, it's all about God to me. I'm about protecting my family, raising my family. It's all about God, God, God. And because people are trying to say that if you're that way, you can't be with God. And if you're this way, you're this way because you got God in you. No. What does the Bible say? That's what I'm on now. I have made an absolute shift. I'm still a motivational speaker, but I am no longer denying the power behind the positive. The power behind the positive is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And when you see Christians that are not operating as Christians, that is not God's fault. What you're seeing is free will. That's a person with their free will who took their liberty and their freedom. They took that freedom, the way they feel, and they decided to talk smack about somebody else, or to try in their mind to put their feet in their shoes, but they're not going far back and they're not going back far enough. See, it's easy to say, well, I didn't have anything to do with slavery. Right. That means that you're saying you didn't have anything to do with the problem. Okay, point made. But are you having anything to do with the solution? With solving it? What are you doing now that you've made the declaration that I didn't have anything to do with slavery? My parents didn't enslave anyone. That's fine. That's fine. I get it. But what have you done to help solve it? What have you done in your own thinking, if you're a Christian, to be more like Christ? What have you done? What have you done? Have you allowed these times to change or alter what he was doing a work? I believe God was doing a work in some people's hearts. And then the devil started distracting us with all these things. COVID it started with, and then from COVID, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, those situations start popping off. And then that stuff stirred back up and we became distracted again. What would Jesus do? That's my question today. If you decide to pick a side, make sure you're erring on the side of God, Christianity. Err on that side of Christ. If that's what you're saying you are, I'm just calling for us to stand up and be Christians, not be black Christians, not be white Christians, but just be a Christian and ask God, what should I do concerning this situation? There's a person out here who was murdered. It was said to be accident. We can see cover-ups happening. What can I do? What can I do? If you're afraid because you got so many friends that you feel like are racist, you know they are. You've heard them say the N-word. You've heard them call whites out of their name. You've heard them call, Hispanic, Latinos out of their name. You never checked them because you were uncomfortable. You didn't want them to think you were someone different. Have you ever thought about, if y'all are both Christians, bringing up the fact of what would Jesus do? Have thought about it? Because that's where I am. If you're not representing Christ to the fullest, and we're trying to move forward and come up with solutions on how to go forward, if what you're talking about, you want to include me in something that's going to badmouth people, malice, so on and so forth, I'm out of it. Count me out. I'm not doing anything, because I really think that Christ is coming back soon. That's what I believe. So that's my spiel on it. If you're going to take a side, I'm just saying, if you're a Christian, like, again, I guess I'm speaking to the Christians. If you're a Christian, err on the side of what's Christ-like. If it isn't, don't try to make it Christ-like. If it isn't, just call it what it is. If it isn't, get off of it. Back off of it. It's okay to get silent when it is not Christ-like. But if it's Christ-like, stand up for that. Stand up for that. That's what's going to help. Again, the world's getting darker. Things are going to get worse. Excuse me. I just don't want to I don't want to have my name mingled in what is not truth, what is not God. I don't want to I won't have my name involved in any of that. I'm not putting no freaking political signs in my yard. Forget all that, man. You show me a politician right now. No disrespect to him. You show me a politician right now who's representing Christ to the fullest, and I'll put their sign in my yard. Until I see that, I'm not putting that in my yard. I'm not claiming no part. I'm not giving no parties no money. No, forget all that. I'm good. I'm good. I have not been called to be for that. I haven't been called to that. I keep my eyes on them, and I'm pushing agenda. I'm pushing agendas that are pushing God. If it's not pushing the ways of God, I'm off of it, man. I'm not repping nothing. I'm not putting none of that on my page. None of that, because it is what it is. What would Jesus do? You know what I'm saying? That's on my mind now. What would Jesus do?